Hey everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I've got a bunch of earrings laying out here that I've made and I'm going to make the mate to this one today. And I'm going to use some beads that I've gotten from Beebeecraft. In case you're not familiar with Beebeecraft, they are an online craft supply store. They have a lot of beads and findings and jewelry making supplies. If you have a channel and you have at least 100 subscribers, you can apply to be in their YouTube program and get products and do tutorials for them. I'll post a link in the description box below to that program in case so you can check it out if you're interested. They offer free shipping for orders over $25. I have a coupon code. It's Teresa10, and I'll put it on the screen here and in the description box below, along with a link to the Beebeecraft homepage. The coupon will save you 10% off your order if you make an order with them. And I'll try to find links to everything else I'm using and put that in the description box below too. I had made these earrings here and showed them in a finished jewelry video that I did several videos ago. And I had some people, I didn't do a video on making these because I started to, and then the beads are all so clear and white, I was afraid it would be hard to see what I was doing, so I didn't. But I had some people asking that I do a tutorial showing how I made them, so that's what I'm going to do today. I made these with 4mm bicones and some white 11-0 Miyuki 11-0 seed beads and some galvanized silver 15-0 Miyuki seed beads, and this large clear drop down here at the bottom. This is a top drilled, a side-to-side drilled drop. The drops I'm using today are drilled up and down. They're not drilled side to side. But after I get done making them, I'll show you what I did to put this drop on. It's really easy. It's not a lot, not hard at all. I got these rondelles several orders ago from Beebeecraft. The brand is Beebeecraft, and they're electroplated glass imitation jade beads. They're AB color plated, faceted rondelles, and there were 10 strands, and all the different strands were all different colors. And so I picked out different colors and made different colors of earrings here. And they're 3.5 to 4 by 2.5 to 3 millimeters, so they're basically a 4 by 3 millimeter rondelle. You can use anything that's around about 4 millimeters. Like I said, I use 4mm bicones in this one. I'm sure you could use 4mm fire polish, just anything that's around a 3.5 to 4mm bead. And then the drops that I'm using here are Honey Handy faceted glass teardrop beads. There were 100 in the package I got, mixed colors, and they're 12 by 8mm. These that I made are kind of a tan brown color, maybe a champagne color with a kind of a champagne color drop at the bottom there. I used some metallic dark bronze 15-0 Miyuki's seed beads and some Miyuki Durcoat galvanized champagne 11-0s in this one, and put them on some bronze lever back ear wires. This one is, these are light blue with some light blue 11-0s and some 15-0 galvanized silver seed beads and a blue drop at the bottom. And I put those on some fishhook ear wires, and I put wire guardians at the top of all of them. And these are kind of a coral color with some really, really light colored pink 11-0s that you can barely see in there, and some 15-0 galvanized silver seed beads and pink drop there at the bottom. And these are a green color. The rondelles are a green color, and I used some sort of emerald colored 11-0s in there, and some Durcoat galvanized champagne 15-0s and an emerald colored drop, and I put those on some gold fishhook ear wires. The ones I'm making today, I'm going to make today, are these kind of a gray, light gray color of the rondelles, and I've got a black drop down here and some Miyuki galvanized silver 11-0s and Miyuki metallic gunmetal 15-0s that I'm going to be using today. And I've got those on a lever back ear wire. So all I've got in my little dish here are 8 of the rondelles, because it just takes 8 beads for each earring, and one of the drops, and a wire guardian, and a lever back ear wire. I've got my 6-pound fire line and smoke that I'm going to be using. I've got a size 12 beading needle here. I have always put a link to the tulip beading needles that I like in the description box below, but they can be quite expensive. I do prefer them, but they can be quite expensive. So I'm going to start putting some different options in the description box below for you all in case you would rather get something other than tulip beading needles. I think these are actually those John James beading needles. They were, I think I got like a pack of 25 of them for $3.50 or something. So they're a whole lot cheaper than the tulip beading needles. So I'll put links to several different. They also have those needles that have colored eyes so that you know the different sizes by the color of the eyes. I'll try to find several different options and put them in the description box below so y'all can choose which ones you want in case you don't want to get the tulip beading needles. The only thing I'm going to be using for tools are my scissors to cut my fire line and my chain nose pliers to put my lever back ear wire on when I'm done. I think that's everything. So hold on and I'll pour some of these beads out and I'll be back. Okay, I've got my beads out here and I'm going to try, I'm afraid this is going to be hard for y'all to see because these beads are so tiny. So I'm going to zoom in real close here. I'm leaving just a little bit of a tail because I'm going to tie a knot. And I forgot to mention I'm going to be using my thread burner. I always forget about that. So I've already got strung on my thread here my 8 rondelles with 11 O's between all of them. I started with the rondelle and ended with an 11O, and I've got 11 O's between all the beads. So I'm going to go through all these beads again. And turn them into a circle here, and I'm going to go through all of them until I get back around to my stop bead. All the rondelles and all the 11 O's. I don't usually tie knots when I do bead weaving because they tend to get in my way, but when it's a very small little project like this, I find it's just easier to tie a knot. So now I'm going to take my stop bead off. And I'm going to just tie an overhand knot. Just make sure when you pull your knot down that it lands between the beads and not on top of the beads. I'm going to pull that tight, and now I'm going to tie a knot the other way. And again, I'm going to make sure that my thread lands between the beads, not on top of the bead. I'll pull that real tight. And now I'm going to cut this down pretty close, but not all the way down. And I'm going to have to hold tension on my finger here to do this with because these poor little scissors, I've used them so much, they're so dull that in order to get them to cut, I'm going to have to hold tension on them here. So I'm going to cut and leave just a tiny little bit of my thread sticking out there. And now I'm going to take my thread burner and burn that down. And I do this whenever I make knots because it's just a little extra assurance that that knot won't come loose if you burn that little tail down there. It makes a little blob and a little knot of its own. Just have to be careful not to burn so much that you burn through the thread that's going between your beads there. And I think I'm worried I'm about to do that, but I don't think I did. Okay, so now got that done. So now I'm going to go through just a couple more beads to get away from that knot. I'm going to come out one of my rondelles. Now, I'm going to pick up 2 15-O's, an 8-O, and 2 15-O's. And I'm coming out this side of this rondelle. I'm going to come around and go into the other side of it. Just the rondelle, not the 11-ohs. Like that. Pull my thread through, and that makes a little loop there around that rondelle. And I'm going to push that loop to the inside of my earring. Now I'm going to sew through the next 11-oh and the next rondelle, because I'm going to make this little loop around all my rondelles. But for this one, I'm just going to pick up 2 15-ohs and an 11-oh, and I'm going to share these 2 15-ohs that are already here to make my loop around this rondelle. And I'm going to go from the inside to the outside through these 2 15-ohs, and I'm going to hold my finger over them so they don't get out of control and pull my thread through. And that makes my little loop around that rondelle. And I forgot to mention, I've got about, it takes about 2.5 feet of thread for each earring. No, it takes about, yeah, 2.5 feet of thread for each earring. I've got 3 feet on my needle because I don't want to have to struggle at the end with a tiny little short piece of thread. So that's what I would do. I would put about 3 feet of thread on your needle for each earring. Or if what I usually do is put about 6 feet of thread on my needle and make both earrings out of that. But if you want to just do one at a time, it takes about 2.5 feet. So I've got 3 feet on my needle here. So I came down these 2 15-ohs. I'm going to go back into this rondelle that I started in. I have to hold on to my beads so that they don't get away from me. And now I'm going to go through the next 11-oh and the next rondelle. Now I'm going to pick up 2 15-ohs. And 1 11-oh. I'm going to share these 2 15-ohs. So I'm going to go from the inside of my earring to the outside, and I'm going to go through these 2 15-ohs. I'll hold on to my beads, pull my thread through, make sure not to get caught around anything. Now I'm coming out of these 2 15-ohs on this side of this rondelle. I'm going to go back through the rondelle. I can get my needle in there. And while I'm at it, if I can, I'm going to go ahead and go on through that 11-oh and the next rondelle. Now I'm going to just do this again. I'm going to do this all the way around. I'm going to pick up 2 15-ohs, 1 11-oh, go into these 2 15-ohs, hold my finger over them, pull my thread through, now I'm going to go back through this rondelle that I started in. And if I can, I'm going to go into that next 11-oh and the next rondelle. Now, I'm going to do that again. Turn my piece around here. I'm going to pick up 2 15-ohs, an 11-oh, I'm going to go into these 2 15-ohs. Pull my thread through, hold on to my beads. Now I'm going to go back through this rondelle that I started in, back into the next, go into the next 11 and into the next rondelle. It's just making a little netting around the inside of my earring here. Now I'm going to pick up 2 more 15 and 11 and I'm going to go down these 2 15 here, hold on to my beads, don't get caught around anything. Go back through the rondelle I started in, back into the, or go in, on into that 11 in the next rondelle. If I can, and I don't know if I can, I can only just be able to get through that 11 so I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to do the rondelle. And usually when I get about this far, I have to try to check and see where I am, because since I have 8 beads, I'm going to have 8 11 in the middle here, and I've got 1 2 3 4 5 6, so I've got 2 more to do. So I'm pick up 2 2 15 1 11 I'm going to go into these 2 15 hold my finger over them, pull my thread through. Now I'm going to go back into the rondelle I started in. I'm going to go into that next 11 and now I'm going to go into my last rondelle, because that was my 7th one, so this is my last one. Now for this one, I've already got my 2 15 on each side of this rondelle, so all I have to do here is go up these 2 15 pick up an 11 and go down these 2 15 to make my little loop around this last rondelle. Like that. Hold my finger over my beads and pull my thread through. So now I've got all my little loops made around all my little rondelles, all my netting done. Now I'm going to go back through this rondelle that I started this one in. I'm going to go up into these 2 15 that are right here next to where I'm coming out of this rondelle. I'm going to go into this 11 and I'm going to sew around all these 11 in here in the center to connect them and to tighten them up and make them look neat and pretty. And I'm going to go around them at least a couple of times to get them nice and neat and tight. So that was 2. I'm going to go through two more if I can get my needle under there. That's 4. I'm going to go through a couple more here. That's 6. I'm going to go through a couple more. That would be 8, all 8 of them. Pull it up tight there so it's nice and neat in there. Now I'm going to go around them again. 2. See if I can get through a third one. 3. That's 5. That's 7. I'll go through a couple more. You can go around these as many times as you want to get it as tight as you want it to be. But I think that's probably good. So Now I'm coming out of this 11-0 here. I'm going to go down into the 15-0s right next to it. And I'm going to go into the, coming out of these 15-0s here, I'm going to go into this rondelle next to the 15-0s I'm coming out of. I'm going to go into that 11-0 past that rondelle. And now I'm going to put my drop on. So I'm going to pick up 3 15-0s, 1 11-0. I'm going to pick up my drop from the top, the skinny side. Go into the drop. I'm going to pick up another 15-0. And drop it down to my drop. Now I'm going to go around the 15-0 and back up into the drop, back into my 11-0, and hold on to my drop, pull my thread through, and that's going to travel, but that's okay. I'm going to hold on to that drop and just keep pulling my thread through until it gets up there, up against the other rest of the beads, like that. Now, I started coming out of this 11-0 here. I'm going to pick up 3 more 15-0s. And I'm going to skip that rondelle and go into the 11-0 on the other side of it. I'm going to go on up into the next rondelle, because now I'm going to sew up to the top and put my ear wire on. And I'm going to come back and reinforce this drop. But that puts my drop on there. Now I'm going to find the rondelle opposite where my drop is, which is this one. So I'm going to sew around here, going through the 11-0s and the rondelles. Until I come out of this 11-0 right before that drop, or that rondelle that I've decided is at the top of my, or at the opposite of the rondelle that I put my drop on. So I'm coming out of the 11-0 right next to this rondelle that's opposite the rondelle I put my drop on. And now I'm going to put my air wire on pretty much the same way. I'm going to pick up 3 11-0s, 3 15-0s, 1 11-0. And I'm going to take my wire guard in here, and I need to squish it. Well, it's squished in pretty well. I need to squish it in. I don't do this with my pliers because, I do when I'm doing it on a piece of, like a bracelet or a necklace or something. But I want this to be really, really squished in. And if I try to squish it in that much with my pliers, I end up destroying them. So I just do it with my fingers. So I'm going to go up one channel of my wire guardian. I'm going to come down the other channel of my wire guardian, back into my 11-0, hold on to the wire guardian so that the thread lands in that little channel there. Now I pick up 3 more 15-0s. And I started coming out of this 11-0 here. I'm going to skip that rondelle and go into the next 11-0. And I'm going to go on into that rondelle and the 11-0 past that rondelle. Just ever how many you can get through. I'm going to pull my thread down, make sure not to get caught around anything. Check and make sure my thread landed in the channel there, and it did. So now I'm going to keep sewing around. I'm going to sew around into this rondelle, this 11-0. Just ever how many you can get through. This rondelle, and the 11-0 there, the other side of that rondelle. And now I'm going to go around my drop again. I'm going to go into these 3 15-0s and the 11/0 and the drop bead. I'm going to go back into my 15/0, back up my drop bead, back into my 11/0, go into the 3 15/0s on this side, back into that 11/0, pull my thread through and make sure not to get caught around my drop. Now I'm going to go into this next rondelle, and maybe that 11/0 if my thread wants to, but it doesn't. I'm just going into the rondelle. Now I'm going to start tying some half-hitch knots. I'm going to tie one half-hitch knot here, go under that thread bridge, make a loop, go through my loop, pull my thread down slowly. Now I'm going to go into that next 11/0 and the next rondelle. I'm going to do a half-hitch knot here, go into that thread bridge, make my loop, go through my loop, pull my thread down slowly. Now I'm going to go into this 11/0 in the next rondelle. Now I'm going to go around my wire guardian again. So I'm going to go into this 11/0. Got everything really tight here, so it's a little bit, got to angle your needle to get it through that 11/0. Now I'm going to go into my 3 15/0s here, and my 11/0. I'm going to go into one channel of my wire guardian, down the other channel of my wire guardian, into my 11/0. Hold my finger over my wire guardian so the thread lands in the channel. Go down the other 3 15/0s on this side. Go into this 11/0 and this rondelle and this 11/0. Make sure not to get caught around anything. Now I'm going to make another half-hitch knot here. And now I'm going to just go through another couple beads and cut my thread off. Well, I think that's good. So now I'm going to cut my thread off here. And my little earring's done. All I have to do is put my ear wire on here. So I'm just going to take my ear wire and open it up. And usually one side of these is a little more poofed out than the other one. See, this side is a little bit recessed in there, and this side is more poofed out, and I like to put the poofed out side as my front, so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to close my ear wire back up. These ear wires are stainless steel, and they're a little bit hard to open and close, but there we go. So now I've got my little earring that matches this little earring I already had made. So hold on, I'll get them all back out here again so we can look at them, and I'll show you the different, well, I'll show you right now. This top drilled drop, the only thing I did different down here when I put it on, I did 3 15/0s out of this 11/0, just like I did with this one. and or 3/15 and 11/0, and then 3/15 through the drop, 3/15 back into the 11/0, and 3/15 and went around like that. It's the only difference in the top drill or the side to side drill drop and these drops that I'm using today. So now hold on, I'll get them all back out and we'll look at all of them and I'll be back. Okay, so there are all my little earrings that I've made from beads that I got from Beebeecraft. They're really not at all hard to make. I was just worried that it would be hard for y'all to see what I was doing because the beads are so tiny. I hope you were able to see what I was doing. That's the reason I experimented with all these different colors, trying to figure out which ones I thought you would be able to see better, and I finally decided I thought these would be the easiest ones for you to see. Like I said, if you decide to make an order from Beebeecraft, that coupon code will save you 10% off your order. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. I also sell gift cards and some extra beads and findings that I have. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope y'all have a great day. Take care.